To anyone watching this, you are in luck. You are probably feeling very anxious with this whole zombie outbreak. In this new day and age of viruses and cannibalism, it can feel like there's no way to live anymore. It appears that these zombies have stomped out any chance for humans to survive. Is there any hope of happiness in this grim new world? Well, I am here to tell you that there is a way to rise above this outbreak. It's not easy. This is not a method that guarantees survival. It requires you to have strong willpower. This is information that is useful for you to survive. Information that has been acquired through years of experience. You will learn how to avoid being killed or infected and how to sustain yourself and your colleagues. The first factor to think about is where you will stay. There are a lot of places to stay that will help defend against zombie intrusion, but there are a lot of more places that won't. What really makes a spot work is how isolated it is. A good hideout is a place that absolutely no one would ever go, even if there wasn't a zombie outbreak. These zombies will look in every nook and cranny they can find. The only way to avoid being discovered is to go somewhere only you know how to get to. Spots like this are scarce. There are few places like this that even exist, but they are the ideal for hiding spots. A common place like this exists in the mountains. The first spot I stayed at was a house in a remote part of West Virginia that my family owned. My brother and I drove there once we heard about any zombies. We were lucky to have access to a place like that and to have heard about the outbreak long before it reached us. Most were not that lucky. My brother and I stayed at that house for a couple of months, living off the food there and hunting. We ended up leaving because we ran out of resources. This is a problem many of you may run into. You might find a place that has been totally untouched by civilization and will surely never be found by any zombie, but there's just no way that you can survive there. Some places are uninhabited for a reason. My brother and I left, and we spent a lot of time traveling around. We went throughout the southeast, finding different places to stay. You might find this method better than finding a place to stay that you will just eventually have to leave. This can be useful because you renew your inventory everywhere you go instead of using up everything you have until you run out and are forced to find somewhere else to stay. However, this method of surviving can be very risky. You are much more likely to encounter a zombie or get infected if you are always moving from place to place. You also lose track of your inventory when you're moving around all the time. But if you are traveling, I'd say the most efficient way to travel would be by bicycle. Bicycles allow you to travel fast and far, but they don't require a lot of maintenance like a car. Keep your eyes out for bicycles. They're your friends. My brother and I got tired of constantly moving around, constantly having to scavenge for food and shelter. We wanted a place to stay where we could set up a system of survival. We started looking for spots. We were looking for about a month, and we eventually lucked out after discovering a farm in the middle of the New Mexico desert. The people who owned the farm were fortunately very friendly and let us stay with them. We just had to help work on the farm and help them hunt. It was the best hideout I've ever found. The thing that made it so great was the people there. Having other people with you can be an enormous help in survival. Other people will have skills and knowledge that you don't have that will be useful for survival. If you utilize what each member of your group brings to the table, then you will thrive. That is what my brother and I were fortunate enough to have been a part of in New Mexico. The farmers had taken in several others in addition to my brother and me. One man there was a carpenter and made beds for everyone. A woman would knit clothes for us. It was incredible. Because we had so many people, we were able to provide each other with basic needs. It felt like a good old-fashioned community. Although having a group of people with you is very useful, there is a limit. You want to keep as small of a presence as possible while still sustaining yourself. You still want to keep a low profile. Some people think it's smart to try and survive on your own. Might sound smart only having to worry about yourself, but trust me, you will not make it like that. There are too many factors to surviving for a person to make it all by themselves. You need other people to help you. In case you get hurt or caught off guard, being with another person can mean the difference between life and death. You also won't be able to handle the loneliness. If you are out living on your own, only living to survive, your mental state will suffer immensely. I know I wouldn't have made it to New Mexico if I wasn't with my brother. There is no point in trying to make it by yourself. Hold on to those you haven't lost yet and be open to new members of your survival crew. And if you are by yourself, first order of business is to find someone. Trust me, the best asset for an apocalypse is a community. The most challenging part of surviving for me has been eating. Fresh food is very hard to come by nowadays. You will be very hard pressed to find anything that you can eat. While my brother and I were scavenging, we rarely found anything edible. Some cheeses age well. That's usually what we found if we found anything. You're going to want to find ways of getting food on your own. The two most obvious ways of getting food on your own is hunting and farming. If you are traveling around, then hunting is a better way of getting food. That's how my brother and I survived on our way to New Mexico. Traveling allows you to get new resources and hunting material. You can hunt animals just about anywhere you go, so no matter where you go, you can always eat. I would recommend that anyone listening to this learns how to hunt if they have never done it. It will make your life much easier. On the other hand, if you're staying in one place, farming will be a much better option. My brother and I survived off hunting when we were staying in West Virginia. We eventually ran out of resources for hunting and had to leave. If you want to stay in a place for a while, you will need to start farming. The more you farm, the more your resources will grow, instead of depleting all your resources like you will when hunting. That's what we did on the New Mexico farm, and we never ran out of resources there. The most important thing for you to remember is, whatever life you had before this zombie outbreak is over. This is your new life now. A lot of the things that you previously had meaning and care for are gone. It is time for you to completely abandon your old way of thinking. Set your sights on rebuilding, not remembering. Use the information I gave to make a community of people who can sustain themselves and thrive as people. Although your life has changed, it is not over. You can still live a meaningful life even in this grim new world. Godspeed, my friend.